This is the guide to strategies in NHL 19. We're going to go over all the different possibilities that you can have when changing your strategies. The idea is I'll educate you on what everything does so that if you need to adapt to your opponent, you'll be able to change on the fly. As well as if you want to create your own strategies, you can do that. But if you don't, if you want to use the strategies that I've been using, check out my video called Strategies from a Top Player. Link is in the description. If you're trying to figure out where to change your strategies in Hockey Ultimate Team, it's under this Manage Lineup button. In Versus, you press the X button or the square button depending on your console. The ones in Versus are not saved. In HUT and in Franchise, they are. In Franchise mode, you go to the Team Management tab and then scroll down from Manage Roster. In Play Now, you do it when you ready up and it gets to the screen with all the settings. And then you can also change it on the fly, but I believe this is only to skill stick. You can't do it in hybrid or NHL 94. You use the directional pad, the D-pad, to first start it up. Change between the settings with LB, RB, or L1 or R1. And then get into your offensive and defensive strategies with the square or circle button. You can do it while the play is happening, but it's probably recommended to do them when the play is stopped. In this screen, the first thing that you'll see is the forecheck. The forecheck is the part of the game where your opponent has the puck in his zone or in the neutral zone, and your AIs are pressuring him, hoping that he makes a mistake or trying to take the puck away from him. The 1-2-2 passive, the first forecheck maneuver, is when your forwards mainly try to take away the pass from your opponent. The purple team in this diagram are the ones who have the forecheck strategy activated. You have one person in deep closer to the puck carrier, two people towards center ice to prevent breakaways, and the two people in the middle are trying to cover the long stretch passes. The 1-2-2 aggressive forecheck has one forward in deep, the guy furthest to the right, that's purple, pretty much chasing the green puck carrier guy around as much as possible, and two guys in the middle playing fairly aggressively to try to turn the puck over. The guys in the back keep doing what they gotta do, being in the back. The 2-3 forecheck maneuver is a mix between those two. They're a little bit more aggressive up front with two people applying the forecheck, while the three people in the back are making sure your opponent doesn't break out. The weak side lock tries to get your opponent to pass along the boards, and it's all about where your defenseman sets up. Your defenseman's going to set up along the boards, the guy on the top left, to try to prevent passes, whereas the guy on the bottom left is going to be in charge of staying back and protecting you from breakaways. Next, we move into the neutral zone, the formation that your AIs create when your opponent has the puck in the middle of the ice. You have one person pressuring the puck carrier, three people kind of along the blue line, and then one person hanging back in your zone. The three people there are meant to create a blockade around the blue line, and the person that's furthest back is kind of like your emergency hero for when they do break through that line of three players. Up next is the 1-4, which is basically like a Trojan War strategy from thousands of years ago, where they set up a straight line of people and you can't get by them. It's the most beginner-friendly strategy that's very tough to penetrate if you're not very experienced with it. It's like the 1-3-1, except once they break through the line of four players, they're just gonna have open space to your goalie. For 1-2-2 red, imagine a bunch of cones in the middle of the ice. You're imagining that? Good. Now imagine those cones have smiley faces. Now imagine those cones having arms and legs. That's the 1-2-2 red, where you put just a bunch of obstacles, which are your players, in the neutral zone to try to prevent your opponent from getting into your zone. You have your players set up along the center line and the blue line, which means if your opponent gets through one portion of your defense, you can switch to the back line and try to defend them again there. All right, now imagine those same cones we were just talking about, except they're further up. Well, that's the difference between 1-2-2 blue and 1-2-2 red. This is the most aggressive neutral zone strategy that you can have, and it's best against people who rag the puck, pretty much people who sit back in their own zone just waiting for you to come to them. The next option is the trap forecheck slider, which is what your AIs are more likely to do. Are they going to set up immediately as soon as the opponent has the puck in that 1-3-1 formation that I've set up there with the neutral zone, or are they more likely to go with your forecheck strategies if you have it set to 6. So 0 and 6 are the extremities, where if you have it somewhere in the middle, then your AIs are going to base it off of where your opponent has the puck. That's why that side is probably best somewhere towards the middle. Offensive pressure is what your AIs do when you're in the offensive zone and you have the puck. It's really just changing how aggressive your defensemen are when you're in the offensive zone. Defend lead means they're just going to sit back and make sure that no one gets by them. Conservative, they'll try to make some plays here or there, but they'll still try to make sure that no one gets by them. Standard is a mix of what I said and what I'm about to say. Aggressive has your defenseman getting in on some of these offensive plays, but not really all the time. And with full attack, you have to score, so all they're gonna do is think about offense like it says. Defensive pressure is on the opposite side, when you're in your zone and the opponent has the puck. Protect the net has all of your players pretty much trying to get in front of the goalie to block shots and make sure nothing gets by. Contain puck is something similar, but they move around to where your opponent is going, so they'll always stay between the puck and the net like it says. Normal has some players sticking to their man and some players making sure that they cover a certain area. Puck side attack is more aggressive, where players closer to the puck carrier will pressure him, but only on that side, which means the person that's on the opposite side won't be involved in the play. And high pressure has your AIs chasing the puck carrier and trying to get in front of everyone. From there, we have the defensive strategies. These ones probably matter the most out of any of these, except for maybe the neutral zone. It's how your players set up the formation that they make, again, in the defensive zone when your opponent has the puck. For collapsing, you'll pretty much have 4 people down low in front of your goalie trying to block shots, trying to prevent cross-crease passes. That is, passes directly in front of your goalie. One person is usually a little bit further up by the opponent's defenseman or just pressuring the puck carrier. Up next is staggered. You have one person by the defenseman, one person trying to take away passes along the side, and everyone else is kind of just trying to cover their man while staying in the middle in front of the goalie. It's a mix of the other 2 strategies, and it's pretty bad just because it feels like your AI aren't doing a good job collapsing, and they're also not doing a good job covering their man. Tight point is man-to-man coverage everywhere, usually to prevent your opponent from making those passes between his defensemen. You really have to make sure that you don't get beat out by the puck carrier, because otherwise there's really not going to be any support left for you. On to the penalty kill when you're down a man. You guys remember collapsing in the defensive strategy? Well, this is the penalty kill version of it in passive box. You have people in a tight box in front of your goalie to prevent passes and to block shots. Now you guys remember small box, right? Well, large box is a bigger version of small box, hence the name. It tries to take away a lot of the passes up high. The top and bottom green guys, they're being covered by the purple guys. But if that green guy ends up just skating past those 2 purple guys on the right, he's got nothing but space to shoot at your goalie. Up next, we have diamond. It's a mixture of the small box and the big box, and it's kind of like on its side. You do like a 45-degree turn, and that makes a diamond. The idea here is you have a person down low taking away the cross crease pass. You have 2 people in the middle taking away those supporting passes, and then a person in front of the guy furthest back. Ideally, this means that everyone is covered. What ends up happening, though, is the guys in green, they're going to pass it down low to the 2 furthest on the left, and then it's pretty much a 2-on-1 situation where you're stuck deciding, do I want to take away the shot or do I want to take away the pass? And it usually ends up in the back of your net. Skilled players, however, may disagree. Moving on to the power play, starting with the umbrella. The guys in green are the ones who have this set up, I suppose. What happens here is you have 2 people close to the net for those cross-crease one-timers. You have 2 people pretty far out towards the top of the circle, and then your hockey quarterback in the back, the defenseman, who's trying to make a play, pass it around, and get a quality one-timer. Looks a little bit more like a kite or a house, but I'm not going to judge. The next one, overload, has your players pretty far out there. The idea here is it's best suited for skilled players. They're not talking about like the player himself, you who's controlling the skaters. They're talking about the skaters and the type that have good stats, good puck control, good deking, so that when they have some space, they can make some moves and try to get a good shot on the net. This means that your players are pretty spread out so that they can have those type of opportunities. Lastly, we have the shooting strategy, which allows you to pass the puck around quite a bit until you get a decent one-timer, or you can pass back to your people in the back where they can get a good shot towards the slot, that being the area between the two circles. PP carry dump, this slider is all about how your AIs will act when you have the puck on a power play trying to enter the opponent's zone. It depends on how you play. Do you like to dump the puck more, or do you like to just carry it in yourself? Most coaches will tell you dump and chase, you gotta set that slider all the way to 10. Most shell players will tell you, I'm gonna carry this puck into the offensive zone. If you like to mix it up, then keep it in the middle, but most people in the game should have it at 0. If you don't have it at 0, then your players will go offside because they're gonna think that you're gonna dump the puck in, so they're trying to get some speed, some momentum, and they'll end up crossing the line before you. Control breakout is the play that you make when you just got the puck in your defensive zone and you're taking it slow. 3 high is kind of like a Hail Mary from football, where you'll have a person on the left, a person in the middle, and the person on the right just going straight up and trying to get to the blue line, hoping that you pass it by the time that they get there. These plays are usually set up when you go behind your own net. The strong side slant has your centerman come with you while you're behind the net, so that again there's some speed, some momentum, and he's there to support you. And then your right winger will cut to the side that you're closest to, the strong side. The next one is blue to blue, which has one person really far up by the opponent's blue line and then one person close to you by your blue line for support. Next is the power play breakout. Again, when you have the puck in your zone on the power play, how are your AIs going to react to it? Carry option is you having the puck and you choosing to enter the offensive zone. You have passes available to you, but your AIs pretty much expect you to be the one to take it into the zone. 5 back has all of your players coming back and then going up all at the same time, so that you have a lot of different options and it looks really scary. Single swing is like blue to blue, where you have 2 players on both blue lines again, and the rest of your players try to skate with you, the puck carrier, as you enter the offensive zone. Quick breakout is what happens as soon as the puck is turned over in your zone, how your AIs will react to that. Leave zone early has one of your wingers, the one furthest away from you, go into the neutral zone immediately, which may not even be when you're ready to leave your zone, because the opponent could be all over you with the forecheck, and this winger is pretty much just gonna cherry pick and try to get an easy breakaway. Kind of like how most people play in EA Sports Hockey League that aren't very good, they just want those breakaway goals. Close support makes sure that there's a person nearby just in case you lose the puck after you get a turnover. They'll also be there for a quick pass if need be. Stay wide is much like leave zone early, except he's not going to do it early where you get screwed over because of it. 3-on-3 primarily relating to overtime. Not sure if it affects what happens when 2 people get penalties on each team. I would imagine it does, but you usually don't think of it when it comes to that. Not a whole lot to talk about here. It's really just, do you want your players thinking about defense? Do you want your players thinking about offense and trying to get in prime positions for one-timers and scoring? Or do you want it in the middle? Usually passive is the best, just so that your defenseman isn't giving up a lot of breakaways. Up next, when you hold LT or L2, you can change your forward line strategies. The first one is what your forwards do, how they set up in the offensive zone. The first one is crash the net. You have 2 people down low by the opposing player's goalie, who are primarily there to screen, to get deflections, to try to bury rebounds. It's best for those big players that can get the body advantage, the position advantage over the opponent's defenseman. What happens is whenever you take a shot, all of your players will kind of just swarm in like crocodiles trying to get the puck. Overload's kind of like that, except your players are more spread out. There's a lot of space, again, just like on the power play, and there are more opportunities for one-timers. Finally, we have behind the net, and it's the most creative strategy because one person is usually behind behind the net. And if there isn't, then your players will keep cycling and moving around pretty often to make that happen. When they do that, your opponent's going to be guessing as to which players he should be covering and when. From here, we move to the carry dump slider, which is exactly like the power play carry dump slider. It determines whether or not your AIs will try to get some speed when you're going into the offensive zone. After that, the cycle shoot slider determines if you want your forwards in better positions for passing or better positions for shooting. The efficiency energy slider is the difference between your AIs trying their little hearts out if you have it set to 10, or only using their energy when they need to, which is when it's set to 0. It's also the difference of how fast your stamina drains when you have a line out there. Finally, the don't block slider goes really well with the collapsing strategy, otherwise probably not that great. And it's the tendency of your AIs to block shots or to just get in front of the shooting lane. Defensively, the hold line pinch sliders is the difference between your defenseman getting in on plays or not getting in on plays. And this is regarding the forecheck, I believe. Do you want them to try to help you, or do you not want them to try to help you? Hold the line means they'll do their jobs and stay far back to make sure no one gets by them, and pinch just means they'll try to get in on some of these plays. The cycle shoot slider is how your AIs, your defensemen, set up along the blue line when you have the puck. Do you want them closer to the boards, which is the cycle slider, or do you want them closer to the slot, which would mean churning that slider all the way up to 10? Anyway, that is my guide to strategies in NHL 19. Hasn't changed from last year. Hopefully you guys learned some things on strategies, and now you can try to figure out what your opponent is doing and what you should do to counter what he's doing. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions or need any additional help, leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. I'll see you next time.